Hello everyone, before we get into today's actual topic, I wanted to say the channel has hit 20,000 subscribers. Thanks for all of your support in getting up to this point in the first year of the channel, and I hope over the next year to be able to put up even better and more regular content. I also want to especially thank Eckhart's Ladder for being as supportive as he has been, considering I imagine about 17,000 of those subs are people who have come directly from him sharing my videos. So now for the actual topic today. The Chiss Ascendancy is a popular but still somewhat obscure faction within Star Wars Legends. We've already done a video covering the faction with a much broader overview, as well as discussing their relationship with the Empire of the Hand in 2 videos about that faction, but today I wanted to dive more directly into how their ruling families worked. A lot of information on how the Chiss government as a whole, and ruling families in particular works, comes directly from Thrawn himself in Outbound Flight, as well as some extra information from Survivor's Quest, a later novel also by Timothy Zahn. There's also a lot of information in the Dark Nest trilogy by Troy Denning, so those are our primary sources here, along with some other individual articles. Though Chiss society is fundamentally oligarchical, reflecting a preference for a rigid, strict hierarchy, with the ruling families determining almost all decisions, there's also a semi-democratic parliament, representing all 5 trillion Chiss from Chilla and all 28 of the Chiss colonies. This parliament includes appointed governors from some of the colonies, as well as members from the ruling families themselves. So between these appointments and the other generally elitist and reserved nature of Chiss politics, it's unclear just how much of a say any Chiss had in their representatives at any point. The ruling families, it's worth noting though, were not necessarily families in a strictly biological sense. While the in-universe University of Sanbra does mention them as being ancient bloodlines, the families would also often adopt in new members, and given Chiss social mores, would likely also cast out blood relatives as well as the merit adoptives for a flagrant enough violation, merit adoptives being the term for the adopted members. Thrawn and his brother Thras were such merit adoptives, having joined the Myth family. Every Chiss in the Ascendancy claims some kind of association with one of the ruling families, depending on the areas of their jurisdiction. Each family controlled certain elements of policy, though, as Thrawn explains, the number of ruling families can and does vary throughout history, which would also imply that their purposes would change as well over time, with Thrawn saying the number has been as high as 12 ruling families at some points, and as low as 3. During the period before the Clone Wars, when Outbound Flight takes place, there are 9 ruling families mentioned, though not all by name. Later on, when the Chiss begin to re-emerge into the galaxy between the actions of the Empire of the Hand, the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, and especially the Dark Nest crisis, there are only 4 ruling families remaining, having dropped 5 in the space of about half a century. During this later point, the families are mentioned as the Naruto family from Naparar, the Saplar family from Kyorl, the Irokini family from Chaos, and the Sabosin family from Sposia. Notably, Thrawn and Thras' adoptive family, the Myth family, seems to have lost its position. It's unknown exactly how this occurs or if any of that was related to Thrawn himself, though there's speculation of even armed conflict having been involved in this recent change, though it could also just be the day-to-day changing of political factors. The Sapla family was primarily in charge of overall resource management and the colonies. It also shared the name of the Chiss capital planet Chilla's capital city, Saplar. Also, pronunciation for some of the Chiss words can be a little bit weird. I think it's based on Hungarian, with Chilla, the capital planet, being the Hungarian word for star, so I'm also applying that kind of pronunciation to Chaos, Chapla, all those other words. So they all start with CS, which then becomes Ch. For whatever reason, though, I keep calling the Chapla family Sapla. Anyways, the Naruto family is the second family. It was in charge of foreign affairs and the military, which often went hand in hand, since the Chiss rarely interacted with others except to tell them to go away, aside from cooperation with the Galactic Alliance during the later Yuuzhan Vong War, and the cooperation with the Sith Empire much earlier on in the Tor time frame, though that's a whole other video. This involved management of not just the Chiss Expansionary Defense Force being the main Chiss military, as well as the household phalanxes, but it also included 28 colonial forces. The Irokini family was in charge of other science and industry, and then the Sabosin family was in charge of primarily social programs like health and education. The Chiss didn't have their own form of currency, so social programs including the distribution of resources were a very important factor in Chiss life. And the ruling families controlled pretty much all elements of it, between their organization of society in that sense, but also the strict social hierarchies that existed. As we spoke about in the Empire of the Hand videos, the Chiss were highly insular and quite xenophobic. Their interest in dealing with the other citizens of the galaxy was largely reactionary against direct military action taken against them, and it was violation of this policy which caused Thrawn's expulsion from the Chiss society. There was a branch of the CEDF, the Chiss Expansionary Defense Force, Thrawn's household phalanx, which remained technically in active service of some form, but in reality was serving Thrawn's empire in a more proactive way in the unknown regions, the Empire of the Hand, cooperating with other species to address threats to the Chiss. It was an open secret in the Chiss Ascendancy that this was happening, where even Chiss citizenry were aware, but the government pretended not to know. This does seem to have had some other effects within Chiss society, with some of the humans who had served alongside Chiss in the Empire of the Hand being allowed directly into Chiss society, although it doesn't seem to have involved integrating the other various alien species that were ruled by the Empire of the Hand. That's going to do it for today, though. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you would like to hear more about the Empire of the Hand aspect to it, I put a link to the Empire of the Hand videos in the little cards at the top. Once again, thank you all for the support getting to 20,000 subs, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that number growing. If you have any suggestions for video topics, then please let me know in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.